Night Live will be delayed tonight, so we bring you this Mardi Gras special. It's highlights of Endymion 97. Now, let's catch all the action with the Channel 6 News crew.
Good evening. I'm Dan Milham. And for those of you who couldn't make it out to the parade, or maybe those who've just come back and want to see what it was you saw a second time, we're going to bring you the highlights of the 31st year of the Crew of Endymion's ride through the streets of New Orleans. It's a cold night, but it's been a dry night, and so we're having fun along with the thousands of people that are out here with me. Margaret Orr, what's the theme of this year's parade, Margaret?
This Festivals International. Now, I don't know if I said it correctly, but basically it's international festivals. And let me tell you, this crew has really grown. It started in Gentilly back 31 years ago with 200 crew members, and now over 1,650 people. They're going to throw 10 tons of stuff.
Wow.
So you know everybody's going to be excited. And Michael, I don't know if you know this, Dan, I went by last night and they had people camped out ready for this parade. They had tents out, and I spoke to some people earlier. They were here at 5:30 this morning, so this is a really big parade.
Obviously, one of the trademarks of Endymion is they invite celebrity guests to be here. The Grand Marshal is a guy named David Schwimmer. You might remember him from the NBC program Friends. And
he's real cute.
That's what she
Ross.
says. The guest celebrity is a guy named Joey Schlotnick, and he plays on the single guy. I guess he is a comedian. And
Sam Sloan. You know, I watch these guys. NBC has great shows. Don't you agree?
Yeah, Sam is the guy that's always getting in trouble, the single guy.
I mean,
the foil,
always in trouble.
But he's not in trouble tonight.
No, he's not. He's going to have a good time, and so are we. And we're going to take a look now at the Budweiser Clydesdales.
And here they are, one of the best high school bands in the country. They are St. Augustine Band, the Purple Knights, the Marching 100. They've played for as many as 5 U.S. presidents, and they are terrific. Whenever they're here, they make you want to get up and dance.
It just doesn't seem like a big-time New Orleans parade without the Purple Knights leading the way, does it?
For tonight, the captain of Endymion, representing the Greek god of youth and fertility. Magnificent. Where's a tunic? Yeah, a white tunic in the style of a Greek toga covered in rhinestones and tiny mirrors and gold appliques in the shape of a Flemish delice.
Now, here's a troupe that's kind of reminiscent of the carnival that's ongoing at the same time down in Brazil. This is Casa Samba, and of course they're costumed a little more conservatively and apropos of the local weather, but the samba bands and the groups that march in the streets are going on for 2 straight days and sometimes longer down in Rio de Janeiro, even as we speak. Colorful and rhythmic.
You know what, Dan? I remember when they first started here, and it was a small group, but now they've gotten bigger and bigger. There's so many of them, and it's fantastic to watch and to hear.
They're having a good time, too, aren't they?
And here's the guy I've been waiting for. This is the Grand Marshal of Endymion 31. His name is Ross to me because he's on Friends, but otherwise known as Active David Schwimmer. And he's throwing lots of stuff. Do you see all those cups?
Look at the cups. Here they come. Look out, look out.
You know what I want? Whoa. I want him to throw me a kiss.
Whoa.
Margaret, you devil girl, you.
Oh, I don't even think he looked at me. This is frustrating.
And now we've got the St. Mary's Academy Cougars marching band and drill team. It's under the direction of Mr. Emile Francis from New Orleans. Principal is Sister Mary Leona.
And let me tell you, this is a famous girls' school here in New Orleans. It's very academic, and they've got a great band, too.
some of those popular shows on television. And this next float carries the celebrity guest of Endymion, who is also on an NBC situation comedy. This is Joey Schlotnick. Now, the name might not be familiar to you, but Margaret, the character, is.
Oh, that's right. It's Sam Sloan. And I think he's really cute and he's funny, and it's a great show. If you haven't seen Friends yet, you need
The single guy.
The single guy, yeah.
Hey, and you know what? Last year, the single guy was also the Grand Marshal of Endymion.
That's right. But Joey's a friend of David Schwimmer, our Grand Marshal tonight.
This is the first maid of Endymion that we are seeing tonight. She is the lovely Miss Michelle Elizabeth Chauvin, and she is representing the Rath Yatra Festival in India. Now, folks, what I want you to notice is her headdress. This is something that sets Endymion apart. It was designed by Sam Nicholas, who designs all of them, but then Shirley Colombo and her husband Anthony actually do all of the beadwork. It's just incredible. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Oh, here's another maid of Endymion. Now, this is Miss Tanya Lee Kognovich, and her family's from River Ridge. Now, her costume is depicting Spanish dance festivals, and you can see the landscape of Spain depicted in that huge collar of hers.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Well, in New Orleans, you just have to say MD 35, and they know you mean McDonough 35. Here's their marching band and drill team, the Ron Eagles.
Another maid of Endymion representing the Chinese New Year. This is Miss Robin Elizabeth Deck of Kenner, Louisiana. Again, look at the headdress, Margaret. Isn't that something?
You know, I really wonder how much those things weigh. Particularly with the wind blowing, it's got to be fairly tough, but it looks like she's having lots of fun, doesn't it?
Let's hope a big gust doesn't come up and blow her off. Wow.
Well, that can't happen. They're actually hooked on. And here she is, Miss Gina Marie Gandy. She hails from Jackson, Mississippi, and she is just lovely. Tonight she is representing the Corpus Christi Festivals of Austria. Notice her dress, how it flows down from her waist. It's just gorgeous. I hope she's not too cold tonight.
Another beautiful headdress, too, another trademark of this parade.
The 1997 Crew of Endymion Parade's just getting started now.
And there's so much more to see, but I got to tell you, I really like seeing David Schwimmer. Ross, you know, from Friends, he's awfully cute.
We're going to hear about this all night long, I'm sure. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Another maid of Endymion representing Scandinavian Spring Festivals is Miss Bridget Catherine Lane.
Boy, a close look at that costume and that headdress gives you just an inkling of how much work has gone into it.
Probably all year long.
This is the Jesuit High School Marine Junior ROTC Band and Drill Team. They're right here in New Orleans, and of course, they were established in 1964. Now, this is something I didn't know. It was the first high school-based Marine ROTC unit in the nation, #1.
This maid of Endymion represents French music festivals. It's Miss Danielle Christine Walters. She is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Jerry Walters of Baton Rouge.
You can kind of make out, you see the Eiffel Tower on her collar.
Oh, wow.
Here she is, Her Majesty, the Queen. This is Miss Catherine Makepeace O'Gorman. She's the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Keith O'Gorman. They're from San Antonio, Texas.
Wow.
And Queen Catherine is a student at the Alamo Heights High School in San Antonio, where she is captain of the school drill team and the debate team, so she's quite a gal.
She's an honor scholar, too.
Right, Duke University.
And here is the John F. Kennedy Senior High School Marching Band from right here in New Orleans, and they are terrific.
this is His Majesty. This is Mr. Nathan Joseph Galland. He's from Metairie, and he is Endymion the 31st. Now, you talk about a collar. Ooh, look at the work on that.
He really does look great. But you know what's terrific about Endymion? They actually have what's called a blind draw. Everybody puts their name in a hat. The name is pulled out, and that person becomes Endymion. It's really a wonderful way to do it.
Everybody has a shot.
This is Papa Joe's SS Endymion. It is a popular paddle wheeler, and it actually has a smokestack, and smoke pours from her stacks.
This is one of the regulars every year, and you can see how generous they're being to the crowd.
And you know what? This was the largest float back in 1977, and it also pays tribute to the late Papa Joe Muniz and Papa Joe Asunto. Ah, got hit.
These are the Eagles. Archbishop Shaw High School is here. Their dance team is here, and as you can see, their band is here. You know, every parade in Carnival has a title and a theme, and the title of this year's Endymion Parade is Le Festival International. It's a tribute to festivals and celebrations all around the world.
And I must say, Dan, you say that very well. And they celebrate, of course, our own Mardi Gras to Moombahs in Australia, and the New Year in China, which, by the way, was ushered in yesterday, February 7th, as the Year of the Ox, just in case you didn't know. And on board, do you know who is on board this tidal float?
Please tell me.
It's Endymion himself.
No.
Yes, the handsome shepherd and god of youth in Greek mythology.
That's a big double float.
Ooh, and they're throwing lots of stuff. Be careful. Ah!
Take a look at this. It's got to be the biggest Marie Antoinette statue you've ever seen. This is Bastille Day, of course, celebration of the French Independence Day, which is July the 14th.
And you know what she said, of course.
Oh, let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake, and that's what they're doing. There's a big cake over there lined with all kinds of goodies that they're going to be throwing.
Yeah, didn't she lose her head over that, too?
She certainly did. A very sad occasion.
Do you suppose they had king cake to eat then?
No, but they should have.
Now, the name of this float is Diwali, and that depicts a festival of lights that is celebrated in India. It's a happy religious festival held in late October, early November, celebrating the return of the Hindu god Rama from exile.
And it's lovely. Millions of lamps, candles, and oil lamps to electric lights in homes, businesses, and office buildings dot the landscape and brighten the holiday for the pageants and for the dancing. It's a super float, too. See how long it is?
Right. It's got a giant Hindu temple with a large Indian elephant.
And they're throwing lots of good stuff, too. Ah!
Watch out.
This is the Fiesta de Santo Domingo, and y'all may not realize it, but Santo Domingo is the oldest European city in the Western Hemisphere. Did you know that, Michael?
I did not.
Anyway, each year, the people celebrate their love of life and a culture that has withstood dominance by Spain, then France, then Haiti, and then several other dictators that followed. Now, notice the figure of the woman in the front. Isn't she great?
Wow. You know, it was founded by Bartholomew Columbus, the brother of Christopher Columbus, back in 1496.
That's right, and then you can see the colorful Dominican Creole village, and it's beautiful, and they're throwing lots of stuff, too. Lots of big beads.
And we here in Louisiana ought to recognize that figure on the front of this float. That's right, crawfish, the mud bug, that lowly creature.
I think he's been boiled alive, too.
They call him a lowly creature, but we sure wouldn't have our culture without him.
No, and of course, you know, they have the Crawfish Festival every other year in Broad Ridge over near Lafayette, and that is one party, too. Let me tell you.
Oh, it is. And have you noticed how long this float is? You know, Endymion has 10 super floats where they may have as many as 100 maskers on board.
Wow.
Here they are, the Xavier Prep High School Band, otherwise known as the Yellow Jackets, and they can sure make you dance.
And we have here the Fiestas de San Fermin, the running of the bulls. Hey.
And did you notice Ernest Hemingway at the very top, who made the running of the bulls famous with his wonderful book, The Sun Also Rises?
Oh, one of my favorites,
It
too.
is a great book.
About Pamplona in Spain, and look out when you run ahead of those guys, because they can run you over big time.
Oh, they sure can. In fact, lots of people are hurt every year, and I think some people have been killed for this event. And as we continue our celebrations of festivals around the world, here is the Carnival au Nice. Of course, in Nice, France. Of course, some people may say, oh, nice.
The Côte d'Azur, the Gold Coast of France.
Hey, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in just a moment with more of Endymion 31, so don't go away, because the throws are flying.
And welcome back to more of Endymion. What we have here is Rah Rah Haitian Voodoo Carnival, representing Port-au-Prince.
And did you know that groups of people descend from the hills of Haiti on Shrove Tuesday to call on Legba, the guardian of thresholds and crossholds in voodoo lore? Hey, that's interesting.
Wow, might be scary too. Look out.
This guy looks scary up here. I don't see any needles in him, but there could be.
Could that be Rastafarian, maybe? The Phallus Festival, the St. Joseph bonfires of Valencia. And every spring, the carpenters of medieval San Jose, Spain, would clean out their shops, and they'd build this huge bonfire in honor of Joseph, the first carpenter.
Oh, now this one is called Saturnalia. It's in honor of the planting festival in Roma. Every year during the winter solstice, which is in December, the early Romans would pay homage to Saturnalia, an ancient god of agriculture. And of course, they were hoping for a successful planting season. I don't think they had any idea that we would be hoping that it would be a successful carnival parade.
From Covington, Louisiana, the St. Paul's High School Marching Wolves Band and the Golden Blues Dance Team. They're terrific.
And when I was in high school, we used to play these guys in sports. Always a good time to go over to Covington, or when they came over to Homer when I was living there.
And who won?
We did, of course.
And who was we?
Terrible in high school in Homer.
All right.
Take a look at this. Not exactly the biggest balloon, because if you go to the International Balloon Fest in Albuquerque, New Mexico, you see all kinds, shapes, sizes. The sky is covered with them.
It sounds like you've been there before.
I've seen it. It is one spectacular event.
And let me tell you, it's a great float tonight, huh,
I was
Dan?
going to say, our sky is full of cups and beads, all flying from this float that is in memory of that Albuquerque Balloon Festival.
Wow, you're right. Ouch!
There's a tradition in Japan of making ceremonial dolls that are very artistic. They are cherished by every little girl who's lucky enough to have one. And this float is entitled Hinamatsuri, which is in honor of the doll festival in Japan. And you look at the figure on the front of that float, it's really a delightful, a very artistic representation of the theme itself.
Wow, it's almost like the Barbie dolls that the American girls collect here. They collect these kinds of dolls over in Japan.
But you know what? That doll is truly collected by people all over the world. I mean, as a child, I had one of those as well, and it was the type that you would look at, you wouldn't play with. And there is the first president of the United States, George Washington. And of course, this float celebrates the National Cherry Blossom Festival. What you may not realize or may not remember is that George, of course, reportedly chopped down a cherry tree. And 100 years later, the Japanese people provided us with hundreds of cherry trees.
And somebody's provided us with thousands of beads flying from the float, which includes a rather lifelike replica of the Washington Monument, I must say. Well, the theme of our Endymion parade tonight is Le Festival International, and an American festival. It wasn't that way always, but it's a state now, the Hawaiian Islands, and one of their most popular festivals is the Aloha Festival. They do this to celebrate the multicultural nature of the Hawaiian populace. And boy, there's a multicultural nature and a multicolored nature to that float, Margaret.
Now, Dan, I'm just wondering, do you know who the guy was in front?
The guy in front?
Let me tell you, it is King Kamehameha.
Oh, I thought I recognized him.
I believe Kamehameha. Yes?
Yes, it's a man. Yes, that's King Kamehameha. This is one of those long floats, too, which is great because they throw lots of stuff.
Oh, yeah, and here it comes.
Remember, they're throwing 10 tons during this parade. Now, let me tell you, folks, I love it when the bands play because on a cold night, that's when you start to dance, and then you get a little bit warmer. And these guys are good. They're the Andrew Jackson High School Band, and, of course, they're from Chalmette.
Yes. Believe it or not, my sister's alma mater. Of course, back then it was an all-girls school.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Learn something new every day.
Don't we? Another float that depicts our diverse culture here in this country. This is the Indian snake dances from the Hopi Reservation in Arizona. Religion plays a great role in the Hopi Indian life, and the rattlesnake is a messenger to the gods.
I didn't know that either. There are, of course, a lot of colorful Pueblo Indians that are depicted there, and all of their religious rites are depicted as well.
The kind of snake I like to see is the one on this float, the papier-mâché kind.
They've also got a large totem pole right on top, and Michael just got a bunch of beads right on top of him.
Well, at kangaroo on the front of this float might tell you something about the origin of the festival depicted here. It's called the Moomba Festival from Melbourne, Australia. Turns out Moomba is an Aboriginal word that roughly translated means laissez le bon temps rouler.
Yeah,
And
let's
I really
have a
like,
blowout party, yeah.
don't you like the way they say Moomba?
Moomba.
Kind of sounds like fun right there, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Whoa.
600,000 people go to this parade that takes place in Melbourne, Australia. It's a lot of fun. I'd like to go.
And take a look at this guy up front. Yeah, he's got a warm hat on for a cold night. This depicts the Yukon Discovery Day from Dawson City, Yukon. That's where gold was discovered in what is now Dawson City. August 19th, 1896, and they had one heck of a gold rush. 40,000 people trying to get into Western Canada for that part. They call them the 96ers, not the 49ers like we know them.
Oh, that's right. And you know what's neat is that they have a big festival every year to celebrate it, and everybody can prospect for gold, too, which is kind of fun. They've got a big contest for it.
Oh, panning is a lot of fun. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but you get gold flecks out of the out of the water when you pan up there, and it's really a lot of fun.
You just got a glimpse of that ferocious timber wolf up there. That's an animated feature of this float, that ferocious head nodding back and forth.
Oh, that was ferocious right there. We got hit.
Moon pies.
Oh, boy, I was hungry. I like these.
Yeah, chow time. Well, it doesn't sound very festive, but the fact is, in Mexico, El Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, is a very honored festival. You know, we have sort of a similar festival here, but on that day they go to cemeteries and they clean the graves and they have special foods, and it's an annual and very, very long-held tradition in Mexico, depicted by this float.
All Saints Day, I guess we would call it here. Very similar.
And, of course, this is a celebration of festivals, so it's quite appropriate. Okay, folks, get down. This is the Covington High School Marching Band and Dance Team. They are the Lions.
Gesture you see on the front of this float is depicting Carnival of Venezia, Venice, Italy, where the maskers have to go around in boats to the different squares in that city, because that's the only way to get around.
And you know, they need to be careful, because I know they're drinking a lot, so they've got to be careful in those boats. But let me tell you, they are throwing the throws right now.
Well, you see, there's a great similarity there, really. It sounds very different, but we have floats, and they actually do float.
You know, Dan is so astute.
He is.
I'm astute. Everyone should be astute. We need more astutes. Back in 1904, a newspaper columnist for the Tampa Tribune suggested that the city should hold a celebration every February. Now, I wonder where he got that idea. So they started the Gasparilla Pirate Fest, and here it is, and there is the pirate right on the front of that big, oh, that's another one of those huge floats. A great depiction of a pirate, and of course, these pirates, rather than stealing anything, are giving it all to us right now.
And you know, his name is Jose Gaspar. And this is, of course, one of those double-link floats. And it's sailing through the streets of New Orleans.
Now, I bet you Jean Lafitte could give him some lessons. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. We've had our own pirates.
Yes.
It's been smooth sailing for the Endymion Parade so far. We'll be back in just a moment with even more of the festivities.
Welcome back to Endymion 31. And the float you see now is the float celebrating Oktoberfest. Now, you know, we've really learned a lot, you guys, about all of these different celebrations. This one is celebrated because the Crown Prince Ludwig of Bavaria married Princess Therese, and they put on such a great show, they decided to do it every year in honor of the wedding.
I thought you were going to try her last name, Saxhill-Bergenhausen.
I'm glad you tried it. I decided, no, I'd just go with Princess Therese.
That's pretty good.
I'm proud of you, Mike. From just upriver in St. John Parish, from Reserve, Louisiana, the East St. John High School Marching Band. These are the Wildcats.
This is float number 23. There are 28 floats in all in Endymion 31, and this one, of course, celebrating the Olympics from Athens to Atlanta and, of course, beyond. And notice the giant Olympic flame blowing at the front of the double-length float.
Another one of those double floats. You know, the modern Olympiad was revived on April the 6th, 1896. It had been banned in the ancient times, and they revived it again.
And I'm glad they did. It first started in 800 BC. It's fascinating how we can learn all of this information just going to a carnival parade.
In the Athens Olympiads, they would receive bronze and silver and gold medals, and we don't have to do anything sweaty, and we're getting all these bronze, silver, and gold doubloons. I like this idea better.
And look at that smiling face. Welcome to Mardi Gras, New Orleans. Here it comes. This is the biggest float, 136 feet in length. It can hold, what, 100 riders almost?
150 riders, and you know it cost $120,000 to build this float, and it looks like it's right out of the French Quarter. Take a look.
Yeah, ironic. It's welcome to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, but all these riders are from Baton Rouge.
This is the biggest float, as you say, and it's like hard to get it into the camera shot. As you can see there, it stretches back as far as the focal length of the lens will show you.
It's 136 feet long, and of course it's got the giant jester in the front, and it looks like it's a French Quarter street.
You got St. Louis Cathedral, even the balcony.
You know, we've got the traditional flambeau carriers. That's right in there as well. And then we also have the high-rise buildings in the CBD, the Dome, the stadium, casino slot machines. I mean, this is really what New Orleans is all about, or at least part of what New Orleans is all about.
There's even a Superdome depicted on the back end of it. Here's a festival that I've had the pleasure of attending, and I got to tell you, as different as they are from our floats, I can say without reservation that the floats in the Tournament of Roses parade in Pasadena are outstanding. All of them made, of course, with flowers, and that, as well as the Rose Bowl, is depicted by this float here.
Well, they call it the granddaddy of them all, and you can understand why.
Did they throw anything at the Tournament of Roses?
No.
No roses,
No throws. It's very disappointing when New Orleanians go there. They come away empty-handed.
Hey, when you think of New Orleans, you think of great food, great architecture, and wonderful music. And we've got it right here with the Ramblers Dixieland Band.
Could that windmill from this next float clue you in that maybe it's celebrating a festival from Holland? The Flower Festival. Blumencorso Alsmere is what it's called.
Wow, you said that pretty well, Michael. I'm impressed again.
Hey.
They have some flowers over there in Amsterdam.
They sure do. Tulips, tulips, and more tulips.
I'll bet we have more beads than they do. Here's another Scandinavian festival depicted now. Midsummer Night Festival is what it's called, from Bodo, Norway. Is it day or is it night? Between May 14th and July 30th, the sun never sets below the horizon in Bodo. And so they have a festival.
And it's a good thing they do. I mean, they need to do something over there.
Right, they can't sleep, goodness sake.
Well, they must be tired by the end of July.
A giant reindeer is at the front of it, and of course there's lots of snow, something we don't see here very often.
And there's one of those Viking ladies in there that's always singing in the operas.
And here is our final float in Endymion 31. It is float number 28, and it is celebrating the Chinese New Year, which was February 7th, 4695, the year of the ox. Now, in the Oriental world, the New Year comes with the second new moon following the winter solstice. Got that?
I know that now. Thank you for telling me.
Now I do as well. Now, Michael, this is something you may not know. The winter solstice is, of course, when the sun's rays go the farthest south to 23.5 degrees south.
Okay. You know that 2 billion people celebrate over there?
Oh, yes, there are lots of people in China.
Can you imagine the traffic jam they have if all 2 billion are doing it at the same time?
And, you know, they celebrate for another 14 days, not just on the 7th, which is, of course, where the New Year fell this year, but they celebrate for another 14 days. And there's a big lantern festivals and, of course, high hopes for the new year.
Take a look at those rockets on the side. That depicts the fireworks that, of course, the Chinese invented way back when.
But let me tell you, the real rockets are all those beams flying our way. Thank you very much. Woo!
That's it for the 31st Endymion Parade. Another great parade with a fabulous array of huge floats. Didn't you guys enjoy it?
The floats were beautiful, and they really did throw a lot. And I've got to just point this out.
Yeah.
The last float threw fortune cookies, and I'm going to check the fortune.
Okay.
And oh, I've got a lottery ticket. I forgot about that. And then on this side, it says your love life will be happy and harmonious. Hey, nice
Does your
to
husband know that? I hope.
I was
I'll let him know.
I was hoping we could get a Mardi Gras forecast out of that fortune cookie.
Hey, but no problems there, huh, Dan?
Right.
We thank you for being with us tonight. I'm Michael Marsh.
And I'm Margaret Orr, and happy Mardi Gras, and I hope you enjoyed Endymion 31.
I'm Dan Milhan. Good night.
I'll eat the cookie.